Welcome to What to Watch. I'm Jackie Jing.
I'm Clint Gage, and with us, as always, David Griffin. How you doing?
Doing well. Glad to be here. It's another tropical day in Southern California.
Your shirt looks like
it's not really a tropical climate here, though. It's more
your shirt looks like it's camo for Hawaii.
Yeah,
it's like I'm going. This is low key Hawaii for me. Low key Hawaii. Not quite all the way there, but kind of there.
I suppose it could have been low key Agrabah.
Which is appropriate for what we're going to be talking about today.
Transition.
Exactly.
That's what I thought when I woke up this morning.
That's the kind of segues you get here on What to Watch.
Mm-hmm. We're talking spoilers.
Spoilers
about Aladdin.
for Aladdin, by the way. We got to see Aladdin this week. So that's all we're going to talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
Diving literally straight into Aladdin, I think the biggest takeaway for me from Aladdin, Will Smith's Genie didn't suck.
Did not suck.
Disney
actually
didn't blew
pretty
it.
darn funny.
They didn't blew it.
They didn't blew it.
They did not.
Good
That's
for them.
not proper.
No, it's not.
Grammar.
But it works.
Anyways, yeah, I get
It's
what
proper
you're
mean
Oh, you guys
grammar, I
blew
think.
for the Genie. Nick Lamone, I like that. Right? Okay. What do we like about Genie though? David, do you want to start?
Well, I think one of the great things he did, it's hard to come in and do the Genie because Robin Williams was just so iconic doing that role. And Will Smith is a big personality. Like Robin Williams, he's a charismatic guy. He does what he wants. He gets jiggy with it, and is doesn't apologize for that.
In true Big Willie style.
In true Big Willie style, and I think he did do Big Willie style while also paying homage and not trying to. Clint, I think you said this already, but trying to outdo Robin Williams. He can't outdo Robin Williams, so he was just Will Smith.
You're not going to out Robin Williams.
You can't.
So don't even try.
And he did his own thing. He did the songs. So the songs were the same, but he would put his own little twist to it, his own little Will Smith style, which I can't imitate. But he did his own thing, let the character be his, but not overshadow what Robin Williams did. I think he did a great job. He balanced. That's got to be a tough role to come into.
Yeah, totally.
and understandably, it's something that fans of Aladdin would be concerned about going into this because Robin Williams made Aladdin what it was, right? Like it was incredible. So for Will Smith to be willing to even attempt to put on those pointy shoes, like good for him, for even doing that. But then to pull it off, and you can tell like the filmmakers, the whole team. Was in on the idea that we can't try to do Robin Williams because they did work in some stuff specifically for Will Smith to do his own thing. Like there's that whole sequence, the Prince Ali sequence when they're coming into Agrabah and they do that whole like we're waiting on you, man.
We're
waiting
That's
on
a
you,
Will
and they
Smith
wait for the
moment.
Sultan to kind of start tapping his feet a little bit. And like that was a whole moment in a movie in a huge set piece that was built around. Like, let's lean into the fact that Will Smith is Genie here.
Yeah.
And it totally worked.
I thought he was just hilarious. Like, I could not stop laughing. Like, I mean, he's a funny guy, but it's just like his delivery and stuff was amazing. And I really thought that he elevated everybody else's performance. Like, Min and Masood left a little bit to be desired for me, but their scenes together, like I thought that they had amazing chemistry, and I was just really in shock at how funny it was. Like we knew Genie was going to be funny, but I don't know, I was like cracking up the entire time. Like I really thought he did a great job.
And it's different because even though you get Robin Williams in the original, you don't see Robin Williams. I mean, they have maybe some of the shape of his face, but now with how digital everything is, I mean, and plus when he's not blue, he's just Will Smith. You see Will Smith's face. And I think for that role, you don't want an unknown for that. You need a movie star. And that's what Will Smith is. He's a movie star. He's bigger than life. So I think you need one of those guys to play the Genie. If it's voiceover work, then you can kind of, work anybody in there.
His delivery was impeccable.
Yeah.
I also really liked the little romance story. Yeah. Like at the beginning, we see him, he's not Genie, or you're like, what's going on here? He's telling a story. Like, what's up?
He has a couple
Mariner,
kids.
the Mariner.
The Mariner,
Yeah. And then it all goes full circle.
But
Dolly was also a great addition.
Yes.
Yeah. But the one of the big things that everybody was freaking out about ahead of time with the trailer was his look, like the blue. And I will say that is the one part, and it's completely not Will Smith's fault, because frankly, at this point, I can't picture anybody besides Will Smith being the Genie, like a live action Genie, because he did such a great job with it. But the CG was a little funky at times, right? Like when he was in the Genie, it had that It didn't look like they made a lot of effort to give him the texture to make it feel like he was actually in the room with Aladdin, right?
Yeah.
Like it still felt very animated to me.
He was too smooth.
It was it was a little too smooth.
Yeah.
It was a little So
I don't know. Yeah, it was like sometimes I'd be looking at his face and I would just be like, when he was in the blue genie form, and I was just like, there's something off.
And it just shows how
But that's just technology.
the technology in different areas at Disney is incredible. Like obviously you see, is it Raja, the tiger?
Oh my God, Raja,
Looked amazing.
yeah.
And it's probably the same technology they're using in Lion King and Jungle Book. But when you go to like the motion capture with the face, it looks like a video game. Video games are getting better too. Last of Us, Uncharted, they look great, but it's still not quite human.
Yes.
You know, there's a difference, just like we saw in Rogue One with Tarkin and Leia. It's just like there's just something a little bit off.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel natural. I think that's what it was.
and he was so buff. Like
Yeah.
it freaked me out a little bit and there's even a scene where he's actually lifting weights and posing in a mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like getting
Even Will Smith and Ali, he got big for that role.
Yeah.
He got jacked. Wasn't that jacked?
No.
Yeah.
It was, it didn't feel, because
Yeah.
you're seeing Will Smith's face. It didn't feel like Will Smith.
So yeah, in spite of the fact that he was just strangely buff, like ripped to the point of looking a little weird.
Like the anime guys like to watch?
Exactly. He's a bizarre buff dude. But in spite of all that, like he lapped, I think, just about everybody else in the movie. So let's talk about some of the biggest changes that this movie made from the original animated from 92. The biggest one, the most obvious one, and I think the best one was how they updated Jasmine.
Oh my gosh. Naomi Scott. Praises, girl. Praises. I loved her. Her voice is awesome. Like the girl can sing, which I don't want to hate on like Emma Watson or anything, but
You're gonna.
in Beauty and the Beast, there was some auto-tunage, to say the least. And I don't know, Naomi Scott's singing was like clear as a bell. Also, I just thought that they just did such a better job with Jasmine as a character. I mean, she gets her own song in this one.
Yeah, brand new song.
Speechless. And she's just, you can just see that she's like this powerful young woman, and she has a way with words, and she's intelligent, and I loved her. I love Jasmine.
We got
Can you
more-
guys tell? I loved her.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you loved her.
Yeah.
And I loved her too. You get
Yeah.
more of her point of view, her perspective, especially on wanting to lead. I never really thought of her as being, not that she couldn't lead, but
Yeah.
she's never expressed that in the original animated movie. So I'm glad that we got to see,
Totally.
like, hey, I could be a sultan. I could lead, which is right. I mean, hey, we've had
Yeah.
queens in the past, Queen Elizabeth, all that. I mean, of course she can lead, but I just never thought about that. And then it kind of puts Aladdin to the side. It's like, you're not that important in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is funny because in the original it was more about him, but in this one it's like, nah, I think this is actually Jasmine's story.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
100.
this movie I think was more than anybody else's movie. It was Jasmine's movie, and it was like Jasmine's movie. Then maybe it was the Genie's movie, and then it was kind of Aladdin's movie down at the end, which I think sort of speaks to how familiar we are with that type of character arc that Aladdin is going on. Like this guy who's like has to prove his worth, and for Jasmine for the movie to lean into Jasmine wanting to become Sultan and not being heard as a woman in that world, to lean into that the way that they did, I thought was a great choice. It made her a really interesting character. On top of the fact that Naomi Scott, I think, was for sure it was her and Will Smith were the strong points of this movie. And everybody else was just kind of also there.
Yeah,
And small
definitely agree.
nod, but I
Definitely
really
agree.
liked the dad. Because
Yeah.
Sultan was kind of a big bumbling fool, even though he's under, but I like this dad seemed like he's a little smarter. A little
lot
sharper.
smarter.
A little sharper
Yes. Oh
than
my
the
gosh.
Disney dad. So
The
I
original,
like his
yeah.
version better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the
Yeah.
Sultan too. Hate to be a hater here, but
But you're gonna.
Hot Jafar is hot.
Sure.
But I don't know. He wasn't villainous enough for me. He didn't have like that like swagger that a villain has. And
Can we quickly sidebar
Yes.
about villain voices and how they cannot be high pitched?
Yes, I was just
Like,
gonna
he
say.
went a little
I
high,
leave
yeah.
it to
Yeah,
you.
I mean
Yeah.
his voice is what it is, right? I mean it's his voice, it's fine. But for Jafar to be trying to be menacing up in this register, I'm like, no, not even a little bit.
That was a good impression.
Hey, thanks.
But it was
But,
not.
yeah,
You
like,
sounded
I want
you
that.
sounded like the German guy from Indiana Jones. You sounded like that. You sounded like
That's actually
Right.
really
it worked for
funny.
him. That worked
No,
for him.
it totally
That
worked for
worked.
him.
That worked.
Like
Yeah.
Weasley henchman number one,
Yeah.
sure.
works.
Give me that squirrely high pitched henchman. But like for the main villain,
right.
like it needs to be menacing and it needs to be gravelly and
Yeah.
it needs to have some gravitas like the
Authority,
original
yeah.
Jafar had. I
Yeah.
thought. Like that was the one, like, I don't want to get my panties in a bunch about, them changing the original, or the original was better, and how could you do this in the new one? But I will about Jafar's voice.
Yeah.
Like, it was a thing that bugged the living crap out of me.
Yeah.
But a pro that I wish they would have gone more into is they gave Jafar a little bit of a backstory when he was talking to Aladdin about, hey, I know where you come from. I was just like you. I used to be a thief, and then actually seeing Jafar go in the streets, put his hood up, and get a little dirty, as it were, and steal back the lamp. I like that. I like that character development with him. I wish we gotten a little bit more of that, but I thought that was something different from the original too.
And Tom Jorgensen, who reviewed the movie for us on the site, he made a really good point about that's one thing that I wanted more of from this movie, is more of that new stuff. Because more of Jafar as a former street rat, having that dynamic with Aladdin, more of what they did with Naomi Scott's Jasmine, more of all the new stuff was great. And more of the new song too. The new song felt a little out of place because it was the only new song, right? And it was very
modern.
Very modern.
Yeah.
It was very Frozen, as opposed to the right, as opposed to that early '90s Disney animation musical.
If they do any of these updates, like, granted, this is a random story, but I was watching something with one of my cousins. I think it was like Little Mermaid 3 or something, some new interpretation of the story.
It's fine. You can just watch.
I was watching it at home on a Friday night. I had nothing else to do.
Okay.
I'm quite lonely. No, but I'm not. But sometimes I am. Okay, we're gonna keep going. No. We're gonna keep going. We're not cutting that out. There was a part though. One of Ariel's sisters said something like drama, and I was just like, oh, they don't say drama in Ariel's world, but because it's modern, they have to update some things, and that song felt updated. But you're right, Clint. Next to all the other songs that we remember from that era, it felt a little off.
And that's sort of
a great song, though.
Yeah, it was
great
song. And that's sort of part of the conversation, is like, how much of that, like, even if it feels a little out of place, do you just deal with it feeling out of place, or do you update the whole thing? I know you have to include, a whole new world, and you have to include Prince Ali and all of these famous songs but I think they updated some of those songs in ways that sort of felt more modern.
And Will put some of his spin on the Genie songs, and even the dancing felt a lot more modern. I love the choreography of all the dancing.
Yeah. Too. But I feel like there was they leaned a little bit into updating it, but not quite as much as I wanted them to. I wanted it to be more different than the original the Aladdin than it actually was.
I have an interesting question. So with Mena Massoud, I mean, I thought that he was charming and he was cute, and he bantered so well with Will Smith, like the whole jam scene when he was just tripping all over himself, and Will Smith is like, just stop. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, that scene was so cute, but I don't know if it was the writing or if it was his acting, but it was just like, when I watched the original Aladdin, I talked to you about this earlier, what I loved about Aladdin was that he was so cocky, but then so insecure at the same time. Like, he would always be like, yeah, I got the swagger and I'm like super cool. But then you'd see these like super, super vulnerable moments with him where he just like seemed so lost. And with Mena, I never felt that cockiness or that like charm. And I don't know if they tried to like take that out in the writing or if it was just not translated. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? Because, meanwhile, he's standing next to Will Smith, who's just killing it.
Large
and
and
they amped up Jasmine's role.
And a Will Smith that probably wasn't in the same room with him while he was doing it, because he was a CG
also true.
Something or other. So there was no telling what he was acting against.
That's a good point. Everybody's character, they added, Jafar got a little bit more to do. The Genie, Will Smith got to have some fun. Jasmine had a bigger story of all the characters. They didn't really do as much with Aladdin. They didn't expand his story at all. So I think maybe they could have given him a little more of a backstory. Show him as a kid or something. They could have done something.
Yeah.
Poor Aladdin.
I know.
He'll always
he's not poor now.
Yeah.
He's not poor now.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing all right.
He moved up in the world.
Yeah, he's doing okay.
He married a sultan.
Yeah, he's the first gentleman of Agrabah.
He is.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Good for him.
I also wanted to see more of Iago.
Iago was.
Me?
Yeah, I think so.
Really? You were good with the Iago
I was good with the amount of Iago. I think much more Iago.
He's such good banter in the original with Jafar. Like they were
but they couldn't really do it because they were already towing the line of all right, how smart is this bird?
Okay, you're right. You're right.
As soon as it becomes live action,
he's a sorcerer's bird. What are you talking about?
Right.
Alan Tudyk was great.
Yeah. Tudyk, of course. Tudyk.
I want to see more of
him. It's a Disney movie, and there's an animated character that needs a voice, so Tudyk's going to be there.
Yeah.
But he was good. good. I thought they used him the right amount, bordering on a little too much, honestly.
Okay.
Because
How dare you.
that bird was literally everywhere.
Yes.
Oh my God, I loved him.
Every scene opened with the bird,
The ultimate spy.
and then he would fly away, and
I don't know. I felt like there was just not the banter that he had in
Not
the
enough,
original.
yeah.
no, there
with
for sure
Jafar.
wasn't.
Yeah.
And I don't think
And
they
that-
should have had it.
That hurt. That hurt. It hurt me.
It hurt you?
I was like the nostalgia bug in me was like waiting for it. A nostalgia bug.
Sure.
What the hell did I mean there? You
It's
know what
real.
I mean? Like
It's fine.
That's
the
fine.
Jackie's inner child is like, I can't wait for them to talk.
Your
and
inner
it just
child's in there
never
battling
happened.
the nostalgia bug.
Yeah, I don't even. Let's just pretend that didn't happen. Cut, editor, cut that out. Also, Dahlia. I've mentioned her a couple times. Like she was hilarious.
She's a brand new character.
Yeah.
Very
The Handmaiden.
funny. Billy Magnuson's alternate prince.
Oh, he was great
that was
too.
great.
Yeah,
Was.
yeah, yeah.
Super funny. He was there for a cup of coffee, but man, he was funny.
He was.
Yeah, it was just a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be, to be honest. So,
Well,
okay.
good.
Go see it. Go see the movie.
Yeah.
Go see it.
All right, so we were talking about the live-action Disney movie, Aladdin. So it just seemed fitting that we do quick picks on underrated Disney movies that are animated. So, who's going first? Why do you
It's
giggle
you
at me?
introduce the segment. You get to pick
I
who
get-
goes first.
You have the power, Jackie.
Congratulations, by the way.
You.
All
Go,
right.
David.
Excited. I'm going to talk about a movie from 1940 called Pinocchio. That's right, 1940, people. We're going back in the day. You got a character called Pinocchio. You got Geppetto. You have a fish called Cleo. And it is just a wonderful story about a kid who just wants to be a real boy. And you have his conscience, played by none other than Jiminy Cricket, a fantastic actor with a fantastic voice. Like, when you wish upon a star, that's Jiminy Cricket, the best conscience ever. There's a blue fairy. There's a whale called Monstro. And it's about a journey about being a good kid and loving your dad. And yeah.
Loving your
Pinocchio?
dad and yeah.
Pinocchio scared the hell out of me because the scene where all the bad boys turn into jackasses.
Yeah, Lamfwick. Lamfwick is
that
bad.
Scared
Yeah.
me so much.
They don't
Yeah,
make
that-
them like they used to.
That
No, they
great
don't.
tradition of scary as hell kids movies.
They don't make
just
them like they
do
used to,
anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Clint's turn.
All right. I am recommending The Emperor's New Groove because it came out in 2000, which was like the beginning of CG animated movies taking over the animation space. But Emperor's New Groove, it ages really well and it feels more classic than just 20 years makes it. It's got David Spade as an emperor who gets turned into a llama and has to, with the help of Pacha by John Goodman. Wow, I am running out of time. Patrick Warburton and Eartha Kitt are the funniest duo ever.
It has a good cast.
It's a great cast.
The way to just like list the cast. Yeah. Oh,
Whoa.
sorry. Okay. Sorry. No more discussion.
No more discussion.
It's
Your
my
turn.
turn. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about The Rescuers, and this is kind of an oldie like David's pick, but it's about these two little mice detectives. Oh, I'm supposed to be looking over there. And their names are Bernard and Miss Bianca, and she kind of has like a cool French accent or something like that going on. But they are detectives, and they're helping out this little orphan named Penny, and like I don't really remember the details, but Penny gets like kidnapped by this like crazy madam with two giant fat crocodiles, and she's like these crazy fake eyelashes, and it's nuts. It's crazy. That sounded so weird. My description
when you say it like
sounded
that,
awful.
it feels like a Cronenberg movie.
It's like it's a goodie.
And there's no mention of buff dudes
Like,
or
if
demon
somebody
babies
drew
or
that
anything
down.
going on
Describe
there.
a monster pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, that was good, Jackie. That's
Big
good.
fat
good.
crocodiles.
They are,
Or
they're scary.
alligators, something like that.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for us this week. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do it using the hashtag.
IGN W2W.
Thank you very much. And I am at Clint Gage.
And I'm at Jackie Jing.
And I'm at Griffin DE.
And that'll do it for this week. We'll see you next week. Bye. And then we look to the center camera. And then we talk about how I really bungled that quick pick.